Hey there, it's me Eden. If you are new to the channel, then please subscribe to my channel and visit my Patreon page for early access, link in the description. I watched discreetly from an upstairs window as George stepped out of the vehicle, praying he wouldn't ask Pete to come in. Thankfully, he didn't, and Pete dashed across to the barn. The roar of his motorbike echoed as he sped away down the farm road. George busied himself with garaging the Land Rover for the night, locking up the barn, and checking on the livestock in the cattle shed. Just as the outhouse lights ignited on their timers, I saw him head toward the house. This is it, I thought, taking a final drag from the cigarette before tossing it into the toilet. For some bizarre reason, I straightened my skirt and fluffed my hair before descending the stairs. As I reached the bottom, the sound of the door opening greeted me. "Alex, I'm back. How's my daughter today?" he called, still unaware of my presence, his back turned as he closed the door behind him. Good," I answered. He turned, and silence fell as his eyes adjusted to my appearance. A long pause stretched between us. "I can explain," I stammered. "Alex, is that you? What the fake are you doing? And is that Grace's clothes you're wearing?" For the next 10 minutes, I did my best to explain my dress and why I had chosen to do it. My concerns over George's welfare weighed heavily on me, his drinking, my naive idea that maybe having a woman around the house would help him, or change his habits. He had mentioned the other night about getting Grace back. He questioned if I had done this sort of thing before or if I was different in some way. Both of which I nervously denied. "Okay, then, just go and get changed, and let's say no more about it," he announced. There's just one slight problem with that," I said. "What?" he asked, clearly frustrated. "Well, you had a visitor this afternoon." His mood darkened. "Who?" he demanded. "Amanda." This set him off. "You mean to say that you were wandering around the house in Grace's clothes, and my social worker saw you?" I nodded sheepishly. "Well, that's just great. I'd be surprised if she's not getting the paperwork ready right now to have Melissa taken into care. A single father with a cross-dressing babysitter, that's just fantastic. I can imagine the headlines right now." I heard Melissa begin to cry. "Don't shout, you'll scare her," I said. "Scare her? That's the least of my concerns right now." "Did Amanda say anything?" No. I think I got away with it, she thought I was a woman." "At least that's something," he replied. Melissa continued to cry, and I stood to go to her. "Leave her," he commanded. "I'll see to her right now." "I just can't bear to look at you, get out of my sight." I turned and went upstairs, overwhelmed. Reaching my room, I took a deep breath and lit a cigarette by the open window, watching the cool night air swirl around. Soon, I began to cry. Downstairs, I could hear George moving around in the kitchen, but Melissa had quieted down. Eventually, the noises stopped. I assumed they had both sat down to dinner, though I had no appetite myself. Somehow, I must have drifted off, only to be woken by a light tap at the door. "Alex, you okay?" George asked. I got up, checked the mirror, and wiped away the marks under my eyes where the mascara had run. I opened the door. "Can I come in? We need to talk." I stepped aside, and George walked in. "Do you want me to go home?" I asked. He sighed. "That's not really practical, is it? I still need someone for Melissa." He hesitated, and I took out a cigarette, lighting it as I sat on the bed. "So what do we do?" I asked, looking to him for some help. "Well, we don't have much choice, do we? Amanda knows about you, you can't just go back to being Alex the boy," he said. "So what do we do?" I asked, feeling nervous. Well, either you go home and I hire someone else, or you stay, as Alex. I looked at him, gesturing toward my dress as I exhaled a cloud of smoke. You mean like this? He nodded. Yes, I suppose. There was a pause. I don't know, what if I mess up and someone finds out? Well, you said you fooled Amanda, and you had me convinced downstairs, so maybe we can make it work. I'd need some tips, some coaching on things, I said. The fewer people that know, the better. Who did you have in mind? He asked. I met Debbie in the village a couple of days back, she seems nice. Debbie Cairns, who's married to Gavin, he asked. Yeah, that's her. He paused. I'm not sure about that. I interrupted, it'll be okay. I'll call her tomorrow, ask for her help with clothes and makeup, and she'll keep it secret. He thought about it for a moment. All right, let's both think it over tonight. I'll leave you a note in the morning. Okay, see you in the morning, I said as he got up to leave. Just as he reached the door, he turned back. Oh, just one thing, Alex, if you're going to do this, you need your own clothes. I don't want you wearing Grace's things, okay? I nodded. Good. Then get some sleep, he said, leaving the room. The next morning, I got up early, before George left for his day's work on the farm. Dressing in jeans and a t-shirt, I went downstairs. George was busy filling a thermos with coffee as I entered the kitchen and reached for some bread to make toast. Sleep well, he asked. As well as I could, I answered. Did you think about our talk last night? He asked. Didn't think about much else, I replied. And? Well, I guess I have no choice, I'll need to be Alex for the summer or however long I'm here. He looked at me. You sure? He asked again. Well, there's no way I want you to lose Melissa because of something I did, so I guess I'll need to go along with it, I replied. All right, but you'll need your own clothes, as I said. I don't want you wearing Grace's stuff. He reached into his jacket pocket and handed me his card. Here, the pin is 3916. Thank you, I said. But don't go overboard, he added with a grin as he picked up his lunch and thermos, heading for the door. I'll see you later, he said, stepping out into the bright morning sunshine. The toaster popped, and I spread a little marmalade on the bronzed slices of bread. As I sat at the table, I mulled over my decision. This was going to be one serious challenge, but hey, it was my own doing. Finishing the toast, I put the plate in the sink and went to look after Melissa. Today was going to be an interesting day. Debbie spent the next hour or so working on my face, hair, and nails. I hesitated when she suggested a more feminine haircut. I just met Amanda yesterday, she'll notice, I said. Don't be silly, Alex. Women change their hairstyles all the time. So you had a trip to the hairdresser, so what? She said, laughing. I guess so, I mumbled, and soon my hair was restyled. There, done, she said as she finished painting my nails a light pink. Can I look? I asked. Not yet. Let's get you dressed first, then you'll get the full effect. She led me over to her closet. My clothes might be a bit tight, but we can work with it. She opened the closet, rummaged around, and pulled out a structured corset. All right, lean on the bed frame while I put this on. I braced myself as she pulled the garment around me and started tightening the laces. Breathe in a bit, she said, and I complied, feeling the garment snug around my waist. Can you breathe okay? She asked. Yeah. But it's tight. I'm not sure how easily I can bend, I replied. Don't worry, you'll get used to it, she reassured me. Now, let's finish the outfit, we have shopping to do. The rest of my outfit consisted of a light blue bra to match my underwear, which she padded slightly to give the illusion of a fuller shape, along with tan tights, some tight blue jeans, and a dark navy wraparound top that provided modest coverage. I wore a pair of navy leather shoes with a thicker heel. "Heels take practice," she joked, "but you're doing well." Lending me a watch, a gold necklace, some bangles, and a pair of clip-on earrings, she said, "Voila, the new Alex is born." "Can I look now?" I asked eagerly. She took my hand and led me to a full-length mirror. "What do you think?" she asked. I stared in awe. "Wow," I said quietly, barely recognizing the confident person in the mirror. I looked composed, with a trendy hairstyle, polished makeup, and a put-together look. "Right, that's enough admiring. We've got shopping to do," she said. "Head downstairs while I grab a few things, and then we're off to Glasgow." As I sat in the lounge, carefully crossing my legs as I'd seen women do, I felt oddly prepared for our shopping trip to build Alex's new wardrobe. Debbie's transformation had really helped boost my confidence. I even liked the taste of the lipstick. 15 minutes later, Debbie appeared, looking chic in a black denim skirt, black pumps, and a fitted satin top. "Let's go," she said, handing me a waist-length white jacket and a matching shoulder bag. "I put the cash card in the purse in the bag," she said. "Oh, thanks," I replied, picking up Melissa and holding her close. We stepped outside, the sound of our heels clicking on the path as we walked to the car. We drove in silence, likely both adjusting to the unique situation. As we neared the outskirts of Glasgow, Debbie asked me to get her a cigarette from her bag. I reached for it, took one out, and handed it to her as she pressed in the cigarette lighter on the dashboard. "Could I have one too?" I asked. "Of course." Feeling a bit nervous, she asked kindly. "Just a little," I replied. "You'll be fine, no one would guess otherwise," she said reassuringly. When the lighter clicked, she took a quick puff and then handed it to me. I took a small draw, feeling myself relax a bit more as we neared the city. We both cracked our windows and settled in for the rest of the drive, enjoying the scenery. Finally, we turned into a narrow street leading to a large parking area. "We're here," Debbie said with a smile as we rolled toward our destination. We stepped out of the car, set up the stroller, and placed Melissa in it, heading to the elevator down to street level. The bright sunlight hit us as we walked along the bustling street. "I can't believe I'm doing this," I whispered to Debbie. "Relax, you're doing great. No one's even looking twice," she assured me as we turned onto crowded Argyle Street. "How much did George give you to spend?" Debbie asked. "Not sure, but there's probably a withdrawal limit," I replied. "Well, if you need extra, I've got you covered. You can pay me back later," she said with a grin. At the ATM, I withdrew the maximum amount, tucked it into my purse, and followed Debbie into the shopping crowds. 3 hours and countless bags later, we were loaded up with new outfits, shoes, jeans, skirts, and dresses. "George is going to be shocked," I laughed. "He'll get over it," Debbie reassured me. By now, my initial nerves had faded thanks to her encouragement, even in the fitting rooms, where she gave me tips and a confidence boost. Back at the car, Debbie suggested grabbing a bite to eat. "You've been great all afternoon, no reason not to celebrate a bit," she said. With my newfound confidence, I agreed, and we found a cozy chain pub nearby, perfect for a quick meal. As we settled in by the window, Debbie asked, "What will you have?" "Maybe fish and chips?" I suggested. "Not with that new figure," she teased, ordering us salads and a glass of wine each. Midway through our meal, Debbie leaned in and said, "See those guys at the bar? They've been eyeing us for a while." Instinctively, I turned to look. "Alex." Subtlety, please, Debbie laughed, then nodded casually to one of them. To my surprise, they started heading over. Wait, are you inviting them over? I whispered. No big deal, Debbie replied with a smile. Think of it as practice. As we approached the bar, it turned out that the two men both worked for a nearby law firm. My initial nerves started to fade as we chatted about everything from work to the weather. After a while, Debbie smoothly mentioned that she was married and introduced me as engaged to Melissa's dad, sparing me any further awkwardness. Please subscribe my channel for the next part. And visit my Patreon page for early access.